Welcome to the Referrals Podcast, the show designed to help everyone from the solopreneur to the Fortune 500 company win the referral game. If you want to build a company with an army of ambassadors and raving fans who speak highly of you and refer you willingly, you are in the right place. Let's meet your hosts, Chris Angel and Michael Maher.
Welcome back, everybody. It's another episode of the Referrals Podcast. I'm your co-host, Chris Angel, and I'm here with your host, as always, Michael J. Maher. And our guest today, back again, Tara Carter. Hello.
Hi.
Hello, people.
Hello. Thanks for having me again.
Yes. Michael, that was a lovely clap. Thank you.
Well, one of my favorite people in the world, right? Tara rocks. She's out of Florida. And one of my favorite subjects in the world is today's topic. So it's like a win-win-win-win. And I got the coolest co-host ever.
Well,
right?
so thank you. Stop. Don't stop.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'll give you like an hour to quit talking.
Tell me more. Oh, yeah. Right. Well, listen, housewarming parties I think are a fun idea. I think there's probably a lot that goes into making them work effectively. And I think sometimes people might have the idea and then never execute it properly. So, Tara, I can't wait to unpack all the things you do to make your parties work. So how did you get into housewarming parties? Like, how did that come about for you?
I worked with a really awesome family, and
hold a second. I got to stop right. I don't mean to interrupt you with the brilliance and the awesomeness, but it's like, here's the thing, right? Is we're about ready to get started talking about housewarming parties. And in the real estate world, like, I've been speaking about housewarming parties for 20 years. I just got on the road and spoke in Austin, and one of my topics was housewarming parties. And a lady came up afterwards, and she's like, "Oh man, housewarming party, that's like old school, right?" It's like, I've already learned about that. I've already learned about that. And so I'm like, "Are you doing them?" No, I don't think it's for me. Well, okay. Who cares about you? Right? I'm like, who cares? It's not about you. Do you think your clients might like housewarming parties? Oh my God, I think they'd love it.
I would say so. Well,
right.
So then
she was also the same person who asked me, like, where do you have the housewarming parties? And by the way, if that's your question leading into this, if your question is, well, where do you have the housewarming parties? I want you to know that you're going to struggle with this strategy and that you should just stop listening right now. And I wanted to make sure that people, like, we could go right into housewarming parties, right? But we would not be serving the strategy or Tara appropriately if we just kind of like jumped in. And the thing is Tara, how many referrals did you get at your first housewarming party?
23.
Whoa.
Now, did you get 23 at your first, or did you get 6 at your first one?
The first one?
Yeah. The military.
Oh, no. That one was more.
That was more? Okay. So I thought you got 6. And then I was going to ask you, okay, how did you do at your last 2 or 3 housewarming parties? Like, how many referrals did you get?
So I don't believe the military one was not the first one. Okay. I would say that the first one we were wrong about the door prize forms.
Yeah.
And that was the one we made a mistake in a different city. It was kind of working out the kinks a little bit.
Yeah.
I think it really goes back to...
you didn't do it perfectly from the beginning? Oh my gosh. Oh my God. I can't do it. It'll never work in my market because I need it to go perfect the first time. Right?
Yeah.
So like, okay, it's not going to go perfect the first time, and nobody knows it didn't go perfect, and they love it. Right? So it's like, I mean, did they have a good housewarming party?
Oh yeah.
Was it fun? They partied. Oh, yeah. It was great. And like, you knew you made mistakes, but did they think you made mistakes? No, they thought you walked on water. Right?
Definitely.
Okay, so that's why this strategy is pretty dang awesome, is because like you can mess it up and the people still love you and still think you walk on water because of how awesome the party went, right?
Exactly. And the best part is they don't even know how many people you invited. So if let's say that I invited, 20 neighbors and only 5 showed up, well, the neighbors don't know and the buyers don't really know. So
yeah, 5 people showed up. That's what they know. 5 neighbors. So I think
then that works.
Last 3 parties, how many referrals did you get at those events? So 23 was 1.
Yes. The most I've ever received was 32.
Wow.
And then I have 2 this weekend, and I think that they might be one of the biggest ones.
Yeah. So you had 23, 29, 32, and 6.
Yes.
Right. So that's quick math, right? That's almost 100 referrals from 4 housewarming parties. Is that a good estimate? Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Without exaggerating?
Without exaggerating, that's fair to say. And then out of that, we have closed successfully on 7 and 4 rentals. And then we've received other referrals from the referrals that were there.
Yeah. So lady in Austin, take that, right? So it's one of those where it's like, I just wanted to make sure we set the right tone listen, I did not invent the housewarming party. Tara did not invent the housewarming party, right? Housewarming parties have been going on since the cave dweller days, right? Come over to my cave and we'll all have some bison, right? But it's like, what we did is we reinvented it in a way that the result is referrals, right? So that's we didn't invent it, but we reinvented it. And what I would welcome everybody to do is listen to the reinvention, right? Listen to this innovation, to the housewarming party, and don't do it for yourself. Do it for your clients. And what I'll tell you is you will experience the difference yourself. Like, you're going to do it for them. You're going to do it for your client because you're client-centered, your heart-centered on the client. And you're going to do it for them. You're going to do it for them. And then at this party, there's going to be a moment where you either start crying or you are the happiest in your entire life. And that's when I want people to reach out to me or Tara and say, I did it, and here's what I got out of it. Because that's the power of the housewarming parties, right? Is you can grow exponentially and geometrically with your business, but how often do we really get to see the reward and the result of our efforts, right? We see the check, but we don't really see the rewards, which is putting a family into a home, right? So
yeah, a new home that they can create memories in. And I feel like most of those too that are thinking, okay, well, should this be one of my sources of business and would this work for me? The answer is, if you don't like being in front of people, and if you're not so much even, I would say, open house person, my systems are simple. There's so many different sources of business in our line of work. And, my source of business has never been FSBOs and expireds. And the only time I'm cold calling is when I'm circle prospecting. And my top sources of business every month, it never changes. And I would say that just the order of them will change. So for example, open houses is always 1 or 2. And then the client events, networking parties, and or housewarming parties, I would put into one category. And then past clients, sphere of influence, and referrals.
There you go.
Yep.
So back to Chris's question. I didn't mean to interrupt you or his line of questioning, but I didn't want somebody to discount the subject right off the bat because they've heard of it before, right? Because it's like phone calls. Oh, never mind. I'm going to tune out. I've done phone calls. Like, it didn't work for me. Well, maybe there's a twist on a phone call strategy that could get you a lot of referrals. Would you be interested in it? Well, this is a twist on the follow-up plan from a buyer that could get you referrals. And it's a lot of fun. And I'm an introvert, right? I don't really like people all that much, right? I love people. I just don't want to spend any time with them. But it's where it's like, I'm an introvert big time, right? And we did housewarming parties. Why? Because of what the client wanted. The clients love them, right? And they really appreciated me just being there as a server and being there as a host and a helper. And it got a lot of referrals, right? So it's not about you, right? It's about the client. So Tara, tell us how you got rocking and rolling with housewarming parties, and kind of tell us what the strategy is for you.
So the strategy typically is, once we close on a transaction and we've had a really good experience with that buyer, that family, and most will always ask, do you do it for everybody? No. And by not doing it for everybody, I do get to pick and choose who I want to do it for, because it's not everybody's style either to want people, all in their house and coming over. However, it's so great to be at the closing table. And, once they're excited and they're happy, we'll say, as our gift to you is we would love to throw you a housewarming party. You get to invite as coworkers, family, friends. There's no limit on how many people you can invite. And then guess what? We're going to take care of everything. We're going to do the setup, the food, the breakdown, and I'll even have a cleaning lady come in. I'll either share that part or I save that for the raffle prizes, which we'll get into.
Do you believe that the housewarming party is the ultimate closing gift?
Yes. I mean, what better way to give a closing gift? And the cost of it is almost nothing out of mine, because I love our sponsors. And it's just so great. Who doesn't want to throw a party and invite all your friends and family over? And when you do one, guess what they usually do? They bring you gifts.
That's right.
Yeah. That's good.
So I don't really think that there's a better closing gift. I can't.
So you ask that at the closing table, like you let them know at the closing table, like, hey, this is what we want to do.
Yes, I'll let them know at the closing table, or if there's a part within the transaction that becomes a little difficult, or if they're losing sight or getting frustrated for any reason and getting, about the process or something difficult comes up, I'll use that as a tool to say, listen, it is going to be so great because soon we're going to close and you're going to be in this backyard and we're going to throw a really big party. And can you just imagine yourself in the backyard and all your friends and family over? So I've used that as a tactic sometimes if they just needed a little encouragement and see the light. Yeah, like a little pick me up and just see the light at the end of the tunnel when things were a little dim at a time. Because no transactions are perfect.
Right.
I mean, not yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I'll take one.
Can we go into I'd love some details on like how you make it work. So you tell them at the closing table, but what goes into the actual planning and inviting of the party, et cetera?
So I come up with the best way that I was able to find a system that works well to make sure that there's communication and they understand exactly what I'm going to be providing and they understand what I expect from them is I have a checklist that I use through Evernote and I'm happy to share that. And what it says is all the things, it says the who, what, when, where, how, and why. That's the best way to break down any sort of an event. So obviously when is the date of the event, where it's at their house, and obviously the date, and then the who is, and I'll spell it out, coworkers, friends, family. And I do get the permission to let them know that I will be knocking on doors to the neighbors. I stick to the 5-5-5 rule. So 5 to the left, 5 to the right, 5 in front. Sometimes I'll hit 5 in the back. And that will be the vicinity typically of where I'll invite the neighbors. And I send them the invite. So they get to save the date. Typically about 6 weeks in advance. I would suggest never less than 3 weeks in advance if you kind of needed to scrummage. And then once they get the invite, there's a checklist of everything that I'm going to be providing. Meaning the food, I usually give them 2 options. Typically it's Spanish food or Italian, because I find that that's the easiest thing to break up. Meaning you get such big portions too, and it's the easiest thing to break up. So
what were the 2 types again?
The Italian or Spanish.
Okay. So Mexican food.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I'm in South Florida, so we got a whole bunch of everything. Brazilian, Colombian, Mexican.
Right. That's right. Latino food.
Yeah. And then, I'll do little things like if I'm going to get a platter of chicken, I'm going to make sure that all the meat's cut into halves because not everybody's going to take, a large portion. And then always having a vegetarian option is huge. You got to have that. And when I break it down for everything I'm providing for them, my list is like this big and then their list is like this big. So the only thing I'm asking for them to do is take the invite and invite their friends and family and coworkers, as many as they like. And I will be checking in with them 10 days before, a week before, and 3 days before, just to make sure that the RSVP count is good. Because the worst thing that you could ever have happen at a housewarming party is running out of food.
That's right.
If you run out of food at any event, it is the worst thing that can possibly happen is to run out of food. So that's one thing that I stay on top of them for. And then the only other items that I've had them provide is chairs, like chair rentals, if we needed some extra seating. Because the most I've ever had was 74 people at a housewarming party. and we needed chairs and some tables, but I brought the tables and they had the chairs. And one client wanted a bounce house, so I put that as an option. And that's it. That's all I need them to do.
Yeah.
So timing wise, you let them know at the closing table, and then how far out do you need is the event, and then where is the RSVPs in that window?
So it just depends on how much work, if you're going to be doing any renovations to the home.
Okay.
And so we try to plan it, or we intend to always plan it within 2 months of when they close.
Got it. Okay. Yep.
So after the closing, the 2 months. And I have a family too that they just closed and they completely gutted the home. So there's really not much, and it's probably not going to be ready we closed 1 month ago, and it's probably not going to be ready for at least another probably 3 months minimum.
Wow.
So what we're going to do is he just got as much work as he can get done. And on the last Saturday of June, I am throwing a neighborhood block party, and all the setup of the food and everything will be in the front yard.
Yes.
Now they can go see the home, and he's a general contractor. So I actually blew up renderings of what the house looked like before. And then they can see what the finishes are. And so I bought like easels, and they'll be throughout the home. So then all these people aren't like all in his house. That still needs, some love. And it has, new flooring and lighting and reconfiguration for moving walls around. So I feel like it's going to be great because it's going to not only grow his business, and I just really like the neighborhood too. So I'm really excited to farm it.
The neighborhood party is awesome, right? And I don't know if you're doing taco trucks or whatever, but that's like the ideal scenario for taco trucks or food trucks, right? Taco trucks, you have the 2 taco trucks, and then 30 minutes after that you wheel up the ice cream truck, right?
Yeah.
And guess what? I have a flamingo ice cream truck.
Nice.
Of course. So those of you that don't know Tara, her logo is the pink flamingo. And she flamingles all the time. So her
I sure do.
It's called flamingling. And she has done people see pink flamingos like in a pool or in a pond or going down the street or whatever. They take a picture of it and they send it to Tara, right? Because they know that here's the thing, anytime somebody sees a pink flamingo, they think of Tara. Right. So
I get tagged or messaged in text messages or Facebook at least minimum 3 to 5 times a day. Yeah. And it's so great because I'm literally selling houses off of flamingos now. Yeah. When they reach out and it's somebody I haven't talked to or seen in 10 years or more. And then I'm like, oh, by the way, how are you? I just got a $6,500 check from South Carolina because they said they're living in South Carolina and loving it. And I said, well, do you guys own your own home? No, but we're thinking about it. I have a great agent there. Let me introduce you. Wow. And boom.
So awesome.
Yeah. So of course I had to go up the branding. So typically I stick to the branding, and the invites don't have my logo on it. However, they do have the let's flamingo. Can you flamingo on over for some tacos at the neighborhood block party? And you're absolutely right, Michael. I am doing tacos and the flamingo ice cream truck.
I love it. And something that I really want to point out that you're doing that's so fun. You have a great brand, and you are also with the Keller Williams company. So it's you have all these logos and different things you could put on the invites and the thank yous, and you could turn this into a marketing event, but you haven't, right? You kept it all about them and all about it's their party, not yours. And
absolutely.
Yet you reaped a ton of rewards from focusing on an unbranded party almost. They don't, very, very light on the branding or marketing. And yet your results have been terrific.
That's so good.
Yeah, I think that's really important to go back. It's a whole generosity generation, right? It's not about me. It's about them. And let's celebrate your new neighbors that are in the neighborhood. And, we're just there to be the host, to set up, break down, be the caterers, be the bus boys, be the garbage man. Whatever they need, that I'm just there to serve.
So good. Yeah.
How many do you invite? Who do you invite? I was thinking of the who, what, where, when, how much, right? And it's like, who do you invite again? I know that you've covered part of them, but let's categorize again.
So who I would invite, so the coworkers, family, friends, neighbors.
Okay.
And and the vendors.
I was going to say affiliates, right? Do you invite strategic partners as well?
Correct. So the title company that closed the transaction, because obviously they would be a buyer that purchased, and the lender who funded the deal, and the insurance person who also provided them homeowners insurance, because you got to have that. And then the inspector, if it was an inspector that I enjoyed working with, if it wasn't somebody that I picked. And that's about it. So a total of 4 to 5.
Maybe warranty, right? If they're involved.
Yeah, I actually haven't done a warranty before.
Yeah. So, so how do they participate in the party, right? How do you have sponsor partners partner with you on these parties?
What I had them do is at first one of the mistakes I made in the very beginning of the first one is I just collected a certain amount of money from each one. Like lender was 500, title I believe was like 300, and I just collected the money. And then I dispersed it for what I needed to do. Well, these people also, the affiliates, they have to break down their expenses. So to make it the easiest thing ever, lender sponsors the food, title company sponsors the drinks, which are regular drinks and mixers and never alcohol, because you will never be the one providing alcohol.
That's right.
And then I just break it down per category. So, and then you obviously have decor, meaning more like utensils, plates, napkins, spoons, forks, tablecloths, balloons. And the miscellaneous things, I will take a smaller portion for, the insurance provider or the inspector, because their cost for marketing is a little bit lower.
And yeah, they make less per transaction, right? So
Correct.
It just makes sense that they would participate maybe at a less number. So when you throw these housewarming parties, what you're kind of saying is that these are not a cost to you. It sounds like you've zero based it, or are you profiting? Are you actually making money to have the party?
I intend to get there. The lowest that I am down to is the one tomorrow night, and I am at $125 out of pocket. And so I'm getting closer. Each one's gone down because I'm getting smarter and learning from each one.
Well, and your vendors are seeing the value, right?
Oh,
the
yeah.
vendors see the value, they invest more, right? Just makes sense.
Absolutely. I had 7 closings last month, and 5 of them we have housewarming parties for. And they're already asking me, like, when are we doing it? Like the lender and the title, like, I just love that buyer. When are we doing it? I'm so excited.
Nice.
So that's really fun. And for the 125 out of expense pocket for me tomorrow, I actually am doing something a little different than I haven't done before. I already threw him, the seller, a housewarming party for his family, friends, and coworkers. And I chose not to invite the neighbors to that one because of the size of the home. And what I did is I door knocked 60 doors yesterday, 60 total, 64, I think it was, 64 doors yesterday, sent out invites 2 weeks ago of save the date. And then I followed up with door knocking yesterday in this wonderful South Florida summer heat. And we talked to 32 of them personally, and they all got our invites, and 22 confirmed that they were coming.
Let's get ready for referrals! In the red corner, we have the average agent working by advertising, learning on the fly, no systems, no profit, and no clients. And in the blue corner, we have what could be you, the profitable agent working by referral, loving life and loving their clients. Take your business to the next level and go to www.callwithcoach.com and set up your free referral coaching session. Go now, change your business forever. www.callwithcoach.com.
Wow.
Now, so you did a family and friends housewarming party event, and now you're doing a neighbor housewarming at the same house?
At the same house.
That's awesome.
And I've never done that before, and the
Twice as
reason
good.
why is because of the size of the home. It would just be too much.
Tight.
And this guy would be like, oh my God, this is so like fascinating. There's so many people in my house. So I didn't want to do that to him.
Fascinating.
I don't use the word overwhelmed. It's negative.
Yeah, right. No, I love it. It's fascinating. It's really good. I love too that you're doing both events. That you, Michael, in one of the previous episodes, you talked about having a talkable, and if you're going to go around the neighborhood and a talk about, is that what you call it? Talk about.
Talk about. Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
a neighborhood party with 60 doors in the neighborhood gives you a talkable.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And the response was amazing. And I door knocked yesterday with two different agents that have never done a housewarming party before. And they're like, all right, so what's the script again? I'm like, the script is just, hey, we just wanted to know, did you get our invitation in the mail to our little fiesta this Saturday? And all of them have said, yes, I saw that. So we just wanted to know if you're able to come by anytime between 4:30 and 6:30. We're going to have some tacos and some drinks and some raffle prizes. So can you stop by?
How do you say no to that?
Yeah. And it's a
Nobody
neighbor.
kicked it. And that neighborhood is no soliciting. It's a gated community. And, but I'm not soliciting. I'm not selling anything.
No.
I'm just asking
You're helping to invite people to the housewarming party of a client, right?
Yeah.
And you're wearing your name badge.
Oh, always a name badge. And what's great about it is because I never done it this way and knocked on that many doors to invite neighbors, the amount of people that said to me, wow, my realtor never did that for me. Or when I was a realtor 10 years ago, I've never heard of this before. I said, we just like to go back to the old school roots. And when's the last time a neighbor moved into the neighborhood, and did you actually get to meet them and say hello and introduce yourself and come over and get the neighbors together and have a little party? So we can't wait to see you.
That's so good. That's awesome.
Magic.
And so what was your biggest fear when you were starting to do these that you kind of had to overcome? And what was the worst thing that's happened?
Biggest fear was obviously failing, that it would not be a success and nobody would come.
Have you ever had one where nobody came?
No. I think the smallest one I've ever had was no less than 30 people.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because I mean, they know people too. So it's usually there's a whole bunch of people and I'm inviting the neighbors. So I've never had less than 30. And I would say something that I failed at really bad was not prioritizing the cost of the money for those sponsors. And one time I ran out of food and had to run out to Pollo Tropical and make something happen just to get a bunch of chicken right away.
That's the worst thing that's happened, right? You had to go get more food. Nobody got killed. Nobody died. Nobody got hurt. And by the way, I'm not a fan of the bouncy house, but that's a story for another day.
I didn't provide that. I would not provide that.
Yeah.
That was up to her discretion.
And have little waivers that the kids have to sign before they, and the adult. Because what happens is two little guys or girls are in there, and then dad wants to get in there, and then like they all hit heads, and it's like, no, you know.
Oh yeah, totally.
I call it the prison of death, right? I mean, it's just like, go on in there.
Right.
I'm so sorry. Need to make sure.
So what's some of the coolest things that have happened at housewarming parties that you've experienced?
Some of the coolest things?
Yeah.
So that would be awesome. The coolest thing would be, the one that I did for that family, for the one whose son was coming home from the military. That was the most amazing thing I've ever done.
Did they know he was coming?
No. So the mom did not know that he was coming into town, and it was close to Mother's Day weekend, and he was in Korea. He's in the Marine Corps and he was overseas, and they were not very happy with me because the mom did not want to have this party, but she didn't know the big surprise that we had for her because the driveway was all dirt and under construction to be a circular driveway. So she was not happy. She did not like me. She was not a fan.
And she was one crying, by the way. We have a picture of her hugging the son with a tear, right, in her eye. So I think you made it up to her a little bit.
I did. It was probably one of the most amazing things I've ever got to experience because not only was all her family and friends and coworkers there, she had no idea. And I had the photographer set up, ready to go when I knew he was walking in, and positioned her in the kitchen and was just making small talk, getting her not to hate me. And then when she saw him, oh my gosh, there was no dry eye in that room.
It's amazing.
That's awesome.
That's the picture that's on the front of Referrals magazine?
Yes.
Yeah. Is that what that's from?
Yeah. You'll see in the back, it says it's his jersey's from, it's in Korean, I believe. But he's in the Marine Corps, and he just came home to visit.
Wow.
That's awesome.
That was the best one. That was really, really good. And then the other thing that I really like is getting the kids, like seeing all the kids like interact, and I do a raffle prize for the kids too, because you got to get them, excited. So that part I like too, because they get excited.
Yeah, the kids raffle, and then you're doing an adult raffle as well, or door prize.
Correct. So the only place in the home to where your my branding throws up on them, or my real estate, information is, well, my branding's always going to be there because I have flamingos. So there's a flamingo in the pool, there's flamingos around the food tables, and that's different. Nothing about real estate. It's just a pink flamingo. So the only table, place I have my stuff and the sponsor stuff, like I have, what do you call them? Hand sanitizers, little eyeglass cleaners that are logoed, a sign saying welcome to the housewarming party, and then it says the sponsors at the bottom of it. Please sign in here. So I'll use an iPad using the Open Home Pro app that we use for open houses. I'll use that as an electronic version because a lot of the times the clientele that does come is not in the age range to know what to do with an iPad sometimes. So I have also door prize forms, which I got from you. Thank you very much, Michael. And on the door prize form is how I collect the information. And why would they want to fill out a door prize form? Well, because I have these really awesome raffle items. And if they want to win them, this is how you win them. And so the raffle items are displayed. Typically, I'll have like an Alexa, and then gift certificates for restaurants. For the kids, I do a Kilwins ice cream gift certificate. And how do I get these? Is I utilize my database and I call others in my database and I ask if I can have a donation for a gift certificate and help grow their business and bring them maybe possibly a new client. So it's a win-win on that side too.
That's right.
Doesn't cost me anything for the prizes because the sponsors help if there is any cost. What's
the door prize entry form say? Because this is really how many people do housewarming parties.
This is the gold.
They don't have any documented,
right?
There's no process to get referral. Like people say, well, I did housewarming parties. I think I got 1 or 2 referrals from it. Whereas you are saying you've gotten 6, 23, 29, and 32. Those are really specific numbers, right? So this door prize form and the door prize system is how you are getting documented referrals, right? So
Correct.
what does the door prize entry form say, or what does it look like?
So what it looks like is I take a half a sheet of paper. It's whatever the half sheet of paper is. I make them on Canva, and I'm happy to share that template if anybody would like it. And it just says their name, address, phone number, email. And then underneath that, I have a few boxes. One being, would you like to know the value of your home in today's market? And that's a great question for the lenders to follow up with that person. The second one is, would you like to know more information about today's interest rates? And the third one is, who do you know that I should know that's looking to buy, sell, invest in real estate that we can help?
And then you got 3 blanks at the bottom, right? For them to put name and contact info.
Yeah. So then underneath that, it says name, phone number, email. And it just says, who do you know that I should know that we can flamingo with? And you have to be very specific though, because it's buy, sell, invest. And I believe I have rent in real estate.
Okay. And then you have something written on the bottom of your door prize entry form that's really powerful.
Winners will be announced at 8 p.m. or winners will be announced at 7 p.m. because the parties are typically 2 to 3 hour intervals. So if it's going to be 5 to 8 p.m., then plan on 4 to 9 for your setup and breakdown. The reason why I would put when the winners will be announced is because I want them to stay the whole time.
100%. And if you're doing 4 to 6, 5:30 is when most of the people are going to be there anyway. But also, you won't get the people that might, like neighbors, right? They may come over at 4 and just kind of check things out, and they're kind of ready to bug out. But they see the door prize entry form and it says 5:30. Well, they're like, you know what? It's only 30 more minutes or whatever. They'll hang out. Well, that's when the real relationship building happens a lot, and they'll stay. So at 5:30, when you're doing the door prizes, that's when most of the people are there, and it's exciting. And that's when most of the people are there anyway. So all you're doing is maximizing that. And then you do the door prizes and give away the great giveaways. And then you leave early and they're like talking about you, right? You leave at 5:30. And for the next 20 minutes, the homeowners and the neighbors and everybody they're just talking about you and how awesome. I've never heard of a realtor doing these parties. That realtor is so awesome. Wasn't that cool? That kind of thing. And
that's usually how it goes. And I think that the utilizing the door prize, the raffle winners, the part of that at the end of the party is so impactful because that's the opportunity where I'm able to turn down the music, get my whole team and the sponsors there with me because they're there too. And that's when we announce. And one thing I have to suggest is wait to do the kids winner at the very end, because all the kids will be in the middle. It's like, pick me. When are you picking me? Like, when are you telling me when's the ice cream coming? So the kids get really excited, and I wait to the very end. And when that's my opportunity to say, we are so grateful as a team for the privilege to help the Diaz family with their purchase of this new home and welcoming them into the neighborhood. And thank you so much for coming. And this also wouldn't have been possible if it wasn't for our amazing lender, and I'll introduce them, and our amazing title person. And we're just very grateful. And before I do these raffle items, I just wanted to let you guys know, and I'll look at the family and say, I have one more really special gift to you. So our gift to you is we're going to send over a cleaning lady tomorrow about 10 a.m. And she's going to be able to take care of all this. And then you'll hear them like, ooh, like the people that are there. And then the raffle prizes. Yeah. And then the kids' raffle prizes is at last though.
Nice.
Awesome.
That sounds amazing. Do you do anything after the event is over? Like, okay, the party's over. Any other final things you do after?
After the party or as a follow-up?
As a follow-up.
As a follow-up, it's always thank you. Well, going through the forms, I'll categorize the ones who said yes to wanting to know which box did they check off, value, today's home market, etc. And then I will divide them up. I'll put them on a spreadsheet and divide them up by the team and come up with a strategy for who's the priority. Obviously, the ones who gave us the referral, that one's of the first priority. And then I'll follow the Great Retrace for that. So Michael's system, which I'm sure you guys have an awesome podcast on that. Following that Great Retrace is a huge, huge deal. And the follow-up for just even the ones that didn't put anything, let's say they put no for value, no for interest rates, and no referrals, they're still going to get a call that says, thank you so much for coming. It was great meeting you. Did you have a good time? And we'll ask them more about their business. What type of business are you in? And depending on how that conversation goes, it's either leading into a conversation to do a one-on-one for my networking stack days and learn more about their business and how can I help them grow their business. And then I will lead following that with, obviously, once I find a homework assignment from them, then I'll lead with a follow-up for asking the real estate question.
Love it.
Boom. Did you just go like that? You've done this before. There was like 1,000 gems in the last 13 seconds.
Because then I can have the chosen one script, and that's like, I don't go there until you just build and I'm just giving. And then eventually they're like, what can I do for you? And it's just great.
So what is the Are You the Chosen One script? How do you implement it?
So typically, when I'll meet with them in regards to after I've met with them one-on-one, usually at the networking script, and I'll ask them, when you have a real estate need, who is the person that you look to? Or who do you look to talk to? Who is that person? And they say, well, I don't really have a person. Or if they say, even if they tell me that they already have somebody, I ask them, is there an opportunity that I can show you how I do business and see if I could be one of the chosen ones?
There you go.
Nice.
Exactly.
So good.
So I think the other thing too that Tara has in place that unfortunately we don't have like enough time to go is that she's got the ultimate follow-up, right? So you've got this housewarming party. Well, who are the people that tend to go to like to go to housewarming parties? What kind of people are there? They're the type of people that like to go to parties and events. Well, she's got this event-based business model, right? So the next step for all these housewarming parties to keep them in flow, to keep them in engagement with is invite them to the events that she's doing 3 times a year. And they go housewarming party, they get to know her a little bit. They go to the event. Well, now you've taken their community, which is your client's community, and now you've taken some of them, in some cases, all of them, and now they're in your community, right?
Yes.
And this is how you take these small groups and create this big community, this big group, and it's housewarming parties, events, and then they're in your event flow forever, and it's just housewarming parties, events, and you're adding 120 people a month to your database, but they've all met you, they love you, they've seen what you've done for a friend or family member, and now they are in your community and they're engaged with you, right?
I think that's the fun part too. And I follow your calendar for events, utilizing March, July, and November. So that flow works out very well. And it's so nice to be able to invite them, because then number one reason to call your database is to invite them to an event. So it's such an easy call.
So good.
And an easy door knock.
Right? Oh my gosh. Yesterday was awesome.
Is invite them to an event. The number one reason to, text somebody is to invite them to an event, right? I mean, it's just like the number one reason to communicate with people is really to invite them to an event, because it promises future communication, right? So if you're going to promise future communication, you're actually in a relationship.
Yep.
Oh, absolutely. And I would say, the biggest thing is to be intentional when you're door knocking and when you're inviting people. Even door knocking just to the neighbors yesterday that I don't know, when a mother opened up her door and said, oh, well, my daughter probably got it, but she just had a baby, so she's inside. Well, what do you think I put on my Spotio app for that particular house number? Send card, just had baby.
Yeah.
So I wrote a card today that said, hey, congratulations, I heard you just had a baby, congrats, sorry if you can't make it to the housewarming party. And I just have that saved. If she's not able to make it, she'll get that follow-up.
So good.
So
good.
Many. I mean, like, it would not surprise me to see this to be like the most listened to podcast we've done, because it's so strategic. And I mean, most podcasts are like, well, how'd you become successful? And then it's like, oh, tell it, what's your story? And it's like, but it's like, you're kind of like, you got to pull the nuggets out. Whereas this was like a gem a minute, this was literally like, oh, I need to do that. Oh, I can do that. Oh, I can do that. And they're all like, none of them cost you any money,
No.
Yep.
So it's the easiest marketing source ever. I mean, we've never paid for an internet lead ever in 32 years. For my family and for my business as well. I've never paid for an internet lead ever. I've never paid any of these sites ever. This is our lead gen.
Yeah, you're willing to build relationship, right? What is internet lead or buying internet leads? It's the cost for not building relationships to the point of referral, right? That's what it is you can either do the time and do this relationship building, or you can pay for internet leads, right? And the thing is the rewards for building the relationships far exceed the money,
Oh, definitely. And the best advice I would have for anybody that's like, okay, well, then what do I say to these people when they're actually there? Or what do I do besides just being the person that is there to serve, is find a homework assignment from each person. Find an action item about each person. Find something that they have a need for in their business or in their life. And then you're going to that's going to be your follow-up.
So good. Yep. So good. Well, Tara, if people want to, let me first say this. If you guys want the the housewarming system, you can go to referralspodcast.com. If people want to reach out to you for referral, Tara, or they want to pick your brain more about some of the specific gems you dropped, how do people reach out to you?
So my best contact number is 954-661-6990. And I also, my email, Tara, Tara @greatfloridahomes.com, spelt out. And then you can always find me on Facebook or Instagram at Miss Tara Carter.
So and good. It's Great Florida Homes. And what market centers are you in? What market?
I am in the Fort Lauderdale in Parkland Coral Springs Market Center.
Boca?
Yep, Boca covers Boca. So pretty much South Florida. So for the Tri-County area for Palm Beach, Broward County, and Miami-Dade. And I'm also the Keller Williams Young Professionals president for the whole South Florida area too. If somebody refers you a buyer to South Florida, will you throw them a housewarming party? Will you throw the buyer a housewarming party? Absolutely. Will you invite the realtor or the person who referred you the person to the housewarming party? Oh, that one I've done. Even she lives in Michigan, and I sent her an invitation. I knew she wasn't going to come, but she saw it, and she got the card, and nice. The next call was good. I've already gotten 2 more referrals from her. What's really funny is that we've had people who have literally, like, they've been in New Jersey and they flew to Kansas City for the housewarming party. Oh, did you? St. Louis, we had people drive over to Kansas City for the housewarming party. Des Moines, Iowa, we had people actually drive down to attend the housewarming party. We thought they'd never attend. Wow. But they actually did. They wanted to see like how it worked, but they also knew the person. So it was kind of like a real powerful win-win-win. Now I can thank the referral source in person, which is fantastic.
So
That's amazing.
That's awesome. I haven't had that happen. I'll let you know when they fly down and come.
It's gonna sooner than later.
So good.
Absolutely.
Well, Tara, great to see you. Thanks for being on the show again. Michael, always good to see you. Until next time, be well. Take care.
Awesome.
Thank you.